Hey everyone, Jack Hilton here, aka Unsung Empath, with another video. It's been a little while. My life has been a little bit busy with the baby on its way, and I will be kind of a little bit more infrequent with video posting until things settle down. My daughter is born in about 3 weeks, so woohoo. I wanted to have a video talking a little bit about the importance of having males in the field of social work, especially in psychotherapy as well, as that's kind of my theme. When you think of a social worker or even a therapist, you might not think of a male. And that's probably because there are probably more women in the field of therapy and as social workers. That's just kind of a fact. And I'm not going to say that, women are dominating in this field. I would just say there's just more women in the field. And so I want to talk a little bit about the importance of why you should consider being a social worker and a psychotherapist if you are already in like an MSW program or psychology or LCPC program. I work with a lot of individuals from all backgrounds, from those with significant trauma history, substance use history, mental illness, and I think that it's important to kind of factor a lot of things when you're interacting with somebody. Sometimes individuals didn't get to really have a strong connections with other males. Sometimes they don't have a strong connections with males in general, whether it's because they're female or they had an abusive parent. So I think being a male social worker as well as a psychotherapist, it allows individuals to see, one, that not all males are dangerous and are, bad. I think that it's important to be respectful and mindful when interacting with somebody who may have had a traumatizing experience with a male. So I think keeping that as a factor is important, but also not allowing that type of trigger to maybe completely dissolve any type of relationship you might begin to develop with that person, because it may become untherapeutic to do that. I think sometimes I've had people say, oh, I prefer to work with a female therapist. I'd rather not work with a male therapist. And it's important to hear what they're saying, but also use that opportunity to maybe create a new experience of what it might look like to interact with other males. Chances are, a lot of them have already been interacting with males and aren't triggered. And I think some of that comes with the power dynamic of being in the role of a therapist or even as a social worker. There is a power dynamic. So respecting that dynamic as well and understanding that, okay, this naturally the person might begin to be emotionally charged with a younger part. So therefore they might feel little when interacting with a male. However, I also seen males feel very small when interacting with female providers and therapists as well. And again, I think it's allowing that to be a very therapeutic and educational moment for both the therapist but also the client, because it's important to have the individual begin to develop the skill as well as the healing process that not all males are dangerous. Because if they're still having that perspective, it tells me that their brain is still very much in this hypervigilant state. They're still perceiving the world as dangerous, and it's telling me that their brain, and they haven't necessarily told the story to themselves that the threat is done. And I think by being able to be a model in that way to show that, you can create a very calm environment being a male therapist. I mean, I've done it. I've worked with people who have kind of said, I don't want to work with a male, but then ended up, I think, having a really positive experience. So I think that it's important to be just kind of like not let the field of social work or psychotherapy scare you because there's a lot more women in it, because you can really make a difference. And honestly, you might be the person that really helps drive somebody in a positive direction. I think sometimes, even on a subconscious level, maybe some women are what is causing people to have some like cognitive distortions. There's some trauma memories of like women, whether it's a conflict with a mom or a sister or a friend, or a teacher, you know, I think maybe, you know, it would just begin to shift that person into a different direction, or allow them to begin kind of engaging in some of the work that they felt like they couldn't in the past. And so I think another thought too is, especially if you're working with children, is kind of that modeling, as well as showing like a positive role model. Not that I enter this field to be a role model. I think that I just have a passion for helping people. And so I think that, sorry, my birds are screaming. They're not happy. Again, I got home and, you know, the attention is not on them. And I think they're jealous a little bit about me interacting with you guys. So I think that, like, understanding that there are people from all different backgrounds that are needing something different, and you might be what is different. You might be the difference maker into someone seeing their life in a different way. You know, somebody might come from whether prison or, like I said, trauma. I would say that probably someone who's in prison probably has trauma, but like maybe when interacting with a female counterpart, they can't envision them in that role. They can't envision themselves as a helper because they're working with somebody who is maybe opposite gender. And I think that when they're working with somebody who might be, you know, a male like them, they might be like, whoa, that could be me. I could be a helper. I could be, you know, I've always kind of thought about being a nurse or a social worker, but I was always kind of worried about what the world would, or how the world would perceive me. So I think that it would be a good stepping stone for that person to kind of envision that, you know what, they could do that too. So just, I mean, there's a plethora of reasonings that, you know, people should be a social worker. It's the best career where you can make impact not only on a micro stage, but a macro stage. So I just wanted to share that thought. I had some conversations with people who were, you know, wanting to enter the field of social work. But again, I've heard some of these running thoughts that, like, oh, you know, aren't social workers people who take children away, or aren't they mostly women? And I'm saying no. And there's a huge need for males to be in it too. A huge need. I can't express that enough. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, please write it in the little comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. And I just want to hear your thoughts of your journey of becoming a social worker. If you have questions about becoming a social worker, if you just completely disagree with males in social work, I just want to hear it all. The amount of good that can happen by more males joining this field, I can't express it. I think that somebody is needing you to be their therapist or their social worker, helping them navigate the craziness of life. So subscribe. I want to hear from you, and I hope to post more videos in the near future as things kind of settle down a little bit, or as I continue to get creative sparks. But let me know what you think.